Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning, live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning, coming to you live from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida and right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Also, Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your number one local HVAC company. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Today's program will have Brent Beaird, a college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. We'll have Mike Ridaught, do a little Baker Sporting Goods high school roundup. I think it's about the midpoint of the football season. Volleyball's winding down. Let's go to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and we are joined by Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing?
Shane, doing well. This is the best week maybe of the season, frankly, as far as games that we will be keeping up with, and obviously the new schedule is out from 2026 to 2029. So, man, there's a lot going on this week, to say the least, right?
Very true. I think this week might be the best college football lineup I've ever seen, quite honestly.
It's one of them. It really is.
Yeah. Brent, a lot of people watched the Florida-Miami game.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, it was the number one game with a 6.5 million audience. Auburn, Oklahoma was second with 6.1. Michigan, Nebraska was third, 5.3. So, look, anything, now this may have changed a bit, but anything around 4 or over is considered a tremendous game. So as far as the audience is concerned, in Florida, Miami, a 6.5 was the best of them all.
Yes, and as you mentioned, the permanent opponents have come out for the next 3 years. I don't know if that will change after 3 years. Brent, have you heard anything? And does any of the permanent opponents surprise you for whatever school?
Yeah, that's a good question. My understanding is they will kind of well, I don't know if redo it, maybe a bit much, but they will tweak it every 4 years is the thing they're looking at. So right now it's 26, 27, 28, and 29, and then they will take a look at it then. Everyone has 3, what you might call the permanent opponents. That I think that will pretty well keep going. The thing they've done here is, and again, this year we play 8 SEC opponents. Next year will be 9, so that will be a huge difference within itself. I mean, they've got it basically figured out to where it's a pretty even playing field as far as we won't have this situation again. I know we've talked about this, such as Georgia going to A&M, which either never happened or only happened once. They're trying to get away from the schedule irregularities like that. It's pretty even, and it'll be fun to look at coming up. Now, we just got the opponents this week. I believe it's the first week of December. They will have it when and where, etc. So that will be a lot more detail coming up in December, but they got it going this week.
Yes, indeed. Play by the rules on YouTube, brought to you by Quiet Plummet, says, good morning, QB. How do you beat the cover 2 defense? Well, they're basically saying my front 4 can whip your ass up front. We can stop your run with your 4. But to throw the football, you attack high-low. You high-low the corner routes. Like you got to imagine two cornerbacks up about either pressing the receiver or 4 or 5 yards off the outside receivers, and you got 2 deep safeties. So the corner areas between the safety and the corner back at 18 to 22 yards is the open area. The cover 2 post area, 18 to 22 yards between the 2 safeties. Dig routes, check downs to your back. They're basically, I mean, you can attack the hell out of cover 2. I mean, but it's a defense saying, we're going to play cover 2 high safeties. Do not give up big plays because we can stop the run with the front 4 and the 2 linebackers. That's kind of what they say. Brent, the whole red shirt thing, I mean, obviously a lot of teams have played 4 games. You only have, I don't think it's, I could be wrong here. It used to be the first 4 games back in the day. I think it's just 4 games total, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But
you're correct.
Still to this point, I've asked multiple media guys, I've asked a couple of coaches, and I'm trying to get the answer to this. For example, everybody talks about, they worry about kids entering the portal when their coach is fired during the season.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to get the answer. Let's say Brent Beaird is in the portal. You want to go in the portal. Your coach just got fired. You're going to go in the portal. All right. Brent Beaird has X amount of dollars on your contract. Does Brent Beaird give up that money? Is one question. The second question is, are you immediate? Can you be picked up by another school right now and go play at that school?
The thing I've always heard about this is you cannot play for 2 schools in the same season. That would be the difference. And again, if you fire a coach early, this is what you're dealing with. There's a 30-day portal window for players to explore transferring after you go through a head coaching change. And again, we've had several already. We've got several more probably to come. But I mean, and look, that's a great question. And some of this is, some of these things we haven't really dealt with that much. But again, you've got schools that are going through this. UCLA, Oklahoma State, for instance, who have fired their coaches. And again, there is a portal window for these players to start exploring as soon as that head coaching change comes about. So I don't know if that helps or not, but that's what you're dealing with, and it's not it can't be an easy thing right now, Shane, this early in the year.
No, and it just makes no sense to me. I still, somebody's going to have to give me the exact rules and why anybody would enter the portal as soon as their coach is fired.
Good point.
If you can't go play somewhere, it makes no sense. And if you're giving up the money that the previous school is paying you weekly or biweekly or monthly or whatever, it's stupid.
It would be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, maybe I'm the only one that cares or is interested in that. But, all right, week 5, big games this week.
Man, it's really unbelievable. Penn State, Oregon, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, A&M, Auburn. It's amazing how many of them are in the SEC. Washington and Ohio State, Ohio State, Illinois and USC. Arkansas, Notre Dame is a sneaky good game too. Iowa and Indiana, and Indiana's playing well. Arizona State and TCU, Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Iowa State, Arizona. So, by the way, I just threw this in here just for fun, but if you were watching the Michigan State Southern Cal game last week, and you guys may have gotten in about this time, Shane, but the game ended at 2:55 Eastern time. Imagine sitting through that early Sunday morning.
Game. I watched that game on the plane ride back, and it was still going on when we got off the plane.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
So Barone71 says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, I think the 30-day rule is so players don't have to play and risk injuries while being able to stay on scholarship through the duration of that semester and be able to look elsewhere. That's my point. when you go in the portal, you're done.
Yeah.
When you put your name in the portal, you ain't on scholarship anymore. You're out of here, buddy. Unless the coach, they work out an agreement, but I'm about 100% sure of that. We still got a bunch of unbeatens in America, Brent.
We do, don't we? ACC with 4, Georgia Tech, Miami, Florida State, and Louisville. Big 12 and the Big 10 have 7, and the SEC has 8. I wonder if we've ever had this many teams unbeaten this late in the year. I mean, I know it's still early, I guess you would say, but still, Ole Miss, LSU, Missouri, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, yes, is still unbeaten. Mississippi State is still unbeaten. Georgia and Texas A&M. Now, we'll get some of these taken care of this weekend, but that, Shane, for September nearly being over, that's a lot of teams, isn't it?
It really is. The group of 5, they have their percentages here of making the college football playoffs. Any of them surprise you?
No, not really. I mean, Tulane is still, now again, these are a group of 5, and that's the reason some of these percentages are so low. Tulane at 16.9%, North Texas at 14.1%, Memphis at 13.2%, South Florida at 12.6%. I won't go into all of these, but yeah, that's kind of the updated chances for some of the group of 5 teams. One of them will make it, which, you know, this is discussion on another day, but you really do wonder still when you've got basically 1 or 2 at the most, basically 1 school that will make it, why some of these other conferences, Shane, don't just kind of have their own playoffs. And you can see with those percentages how one day that might happen.
Yep. And the odds now to win the Southeastern Conference are?
They're still pretty close. Georgia, 17%, Texas, 16%, Ole Miss, 15%, and LSU, 12%. So still you got a lot of teams that are capable, and this can change. But I mean, you've got a Missouri team that's undefeated, and their percentage is 5.2%. So and Tennessee that's having a good year. I understand the loss to Georgia, but they're number 10 here at 4.5%. So that's amazing. And Shane, I threw this in here just because this may surprise some people, some it may not. Nebraska is 0-29 in their last 29 games against ranked opponents. Have not beat a ranked opponent since 2016. So if you're a Nebraska fan, and we probably all know some, it's tough to be a Nebraska fan right now, Shane.
It really is. So I have a director of football ops at a college that listens to our program, and he chimed in and says a player won't be eligible that year because he's not in class at the new school. So that's what I thought. Yeah. Justin says the 30-day transfer portal after firing the coach during the season is irrelevant. A player, whether his coach is fired or not, can opt out after 4 games of redshirt. Well, I know that, but that still doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about here. You can redshirt after 4 games has been going on for years. That's not anything new. The Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try the mango martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their J.F. Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors or find your favorite at shopjfhaydens.com. We got Brent Beaird here on the Titan More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. Brent, we're getting a bunch of text and comments about some comments that Urban Meyer made that Florida can't afford Billy Napier's buyout. They want my thoughts. I'll tell you right now, it's very simple. That is not true at all.
Yeah.
If they want to make a coaching change, it will happen. You got anything to say about that?
Well, no, I agree with you totally on that. Yes, and look, at some point, you've got to consider: do we bite the bullet now and decide to make a change, or do we go with this another year and basically have the same thing we've had the previous 3 or 4 years. So, and that's why, yes, it can be expensive, but the reality is, when you have people giving up their tickets or stop coming to games because your program is mediocre, that's one of the worst things you can have happen to a program.
Yeah, I'd put anything on it that if they want to make a change, they will make a change.
Yes.
All right, Brent, let's go around the conference. Big one, boy, in Athens, Alabama at Georgia.
Yeah, it really is. No question about it. Bama's won 9 of the last 10 meetings. They have not. They really. The Bulldogs beat Alabama in the regular season for the first time since 2007. So it has been a while. Games at Georgia, which is now with the new schedule, you'll have more games when Alabama plays Georgia in Athens than you've had the last few years. Some of the stats in like rushing offense, Georgia's averaging 209 yards a game. Alabama's 123. That's number 30 against number 103. Passing offense is almost different. Alabama's number 9. Georgia's 48. That's 335 versus 261. Yards per play, Alabama 7.1 and Georgia's 5.9. And you've got some defensive stats here like rushing defense. Georgia only allows 82 yards a game. Alabama 138. But I won't go into too many stats, but that kind of tells you where we are. Will be interesting to see how Ty Simpson, who has really played well at quarterback, 70% passer at this point, how he does in Athens. Bama does get Jam Miller, their best tailback. He comes back for the game. Both teams have, this is amazing, 15 players who've caught at least one pass at this point, too. So, man, there are a lot of ways you can go in this thing. I do think Georgia wins in Athens. Frankly, Bama, for whatever reason, has struggled on the road with Kalen DeBoer, and that's one thing they've got to eventually get straightened out. But it should be an incredible atmosphere, to say the least. So Bama won last year at home for 41-34. Remember, they got out to a big lead, and then late in the game, lost the lead, and then were able to come back and be able to win the game. So it should be a really good game, and as you can imagine, it's the main game on television as far as in the SEC on Saturday night.
Yes. Again, Justin on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says people were using the 30-day portal window as an excuse for not firing Billy, implying the whole team would leave. My point was the entire team could leave whether he's fired or not. That's not true. Only if you have not been redshirted.
Yeah.
Majority of this team has. That's the thing, is not everybody. Once you've been taken a redshirt, you cannot redshirt again. And again, money plays a factor into all of this. This is not 15, 20 years ago. These kids are being paid. So either they stay on the team and collect their checks, or if they go in the portal, I believe they have to write the check back to the school. So you may have one or two, but I can promise you these people ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
Arkansas hosts Notre Dame. Notre Dame better look out here, Brent, because Notre Dame can't stop anybody, and Arkansas can score.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. This will be a very interesting game. To Shane's point, Notre Dame's allowed 98 points in his first 3 games under Chris Ash, who's the coordinator. They're allowing 98 points. The worst they've ever given up was in 2007, 102 points per game. So this is certainly not the same Notre Dame defense that they had last year. But, Shane, the reality here for Arkansas, they're playing well, particularly in the offensive side of the ball. Bobby Petrino's done amazing work for them. But the reality is, when you blow an 18-point lead like they did at Memphis and you fumble the ball as you're basically inside the 10-yard line. Yeah, and they've lost two close games. So I mean, look, this will be a fun game to watch. But Shane, does that become a mental thing for teams? I wonder toward the end of the game.
Well, the fumble should have never happened. Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino, that's on you. You're in field. You're kicking an extra point basically to win the game.
Yes.
There's no reason to even try to gain an extra yard and take a chance of fumbling. I blame that on them for sure. But I think Arkansas will play well at home. Would not surprise me if they win the game.
No.
Auburn at Texas A&M.
Yeah, this is another huge game to say the least. Now, can Auburn bounce back from the Oklahoma game? A&M's playing well. They had a big win over, obviously, at Notre Dame. The receivers in this game are going to be fun to watch. Mario Craver for A&M, mercy average is 22 yards a catch. Cam Coleman's pretty close to that, the Auburn receiver, with 18 yards per catch. A lot of controversy in the Oklahoma-Auburn game last week. The SEC actually made a statement on, I mean, the game was over about, 8 o'clock, something like that. They issued a statement about 11 p.m. About some of the plays. But still, the basic thing here is Auburn allowed way too many sacks. They allowed 10. Auburn also allowed 13 penalties. And Shane, look, I don't care who you are, if you allow that many sacks and penalties, it's hard to win, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very true. Brent, Daryl's text here on the Titan Mar text line for you says he knows you follow high school football in the Jacksonville area. Do you think the emphasis on high school recruiting will be less important than the transfer portal?
I get the question, and my answer is I hope not. I mean, the transfer portal is a quick fix, and we all understand that. And look, the teams, this really brings up a good point. The teams who can balance the portal and, shall we say, regular recruiting, I think are the teams who are going for the long run. But for instance, you've got to balance it. Clemson right now with Dabo Swinney have not done that, and I'm just wondering, Shane, if it's caught up with them. I mean, they're basically 1-3 right now, so that's a great question, and it's got to be a balance. It really can't be just one or the other.
Rick from Jupiter on the Titan Mar text line says, Brent, when is the last time you thought of voting for a non-skilled position player for Heisman?
Well, that's a great question. I've always thought about that. Probably that. I mean, it's certainly been a while. Probably the Nebraska defensive lineman of years ago was about the last time that happened. But look, when you're a Heisman voter, I know we're concentrating on quarterbacks, but it's not just a quarterback award. I mean, look, if you've got a player, even on the defensive side of the ball, that's dominating, I think he deserves as much publicity as your quarterback does. So a lot of people don't agree with that, but I certainly appreciate the question. And yes, it has been a dilemma over the years.
All right, Brent, we're not even going to talk about the Gators. We talk about that enough the last 3 or 4 days. We're going to move down to a really good football game in the Grove there in Oxford, Mississippi. LSU, Ole Miss, both undefeated. Your thoughts on this game?
Hey, look, it is a tremendous game. I'm very curious what you think about Trinidad Chambliss. He is he's the Ole Miss quarterback.
Yeah, he's starting this week again, and he's been phenomenal. Again,
yes.
I knew nothing about him. Still don't know much about him. From Ferris State Division II. Now that's a good program.
Yes.
In Division II, but it just goes to show you that these recruiting, these 5 stars and whatever, there's a lot of good. That's what I tell people. It doesn't matter who you lose or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many good players around the country that you can get out of the portal.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a big challenge for them. LSU defense is pretty solid, but I don't think they played anybody worth a darn on offense this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Caden Durham, the LSU running back, has an ankle injury, so that has been a problem with them too. I mean, look, Ole Miss did a great job against Tulane. Tulane's a good team, and they just throttled them. So, look, how many schools right now, Shane? Now, Austin Simmons may play a little bit, but he's going to be pretty limited. But my stars, how many teams have not one but two really good quarterbacks you could go to? That is a real plus for what Lane Kiffin has done for Ole Miss.
Well, he understands the quarterback position, playing it himself in college, and he does a great job with it. Speaking of that, Raging Rat on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing says, QB, would DJ be a QB that Lane would want to keep, or would he bring his kind of QBs? You'd have to ask him. Here's what I do know about Lane's quarterbacks. They're fundamentally sound, and they're competitors. You go back to Matt Corral, you go to Jackson Dart, you go to these kids that have been playing here. They compete their tails off, man, and that's something that people don't look at when you look at the quarterback position. Brent, speaking of a dude that competes his tail off, and I'm just devastated about this because I picked him in the summer to win the Heisman Trophy. John Mateer is going to be out a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he is. I hope it's not more than that. Now they're off this week. They've got an easy opponent next week, and then they've got the schedule gets a lot tougher at that point, starting with Texas. So look, Mateer's been great to see. Now Shane, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you. He broke a bone in his throwing hand in the first quarter. Now, I don't mean at the end of the game, at the first quarter, and still somehow Shane got through the game against Auburn.
Yeah, it's usually all off adrenaline. A lot of guys do break things or have torn this, torn that, and find out after the fact, after the game. I'm still not sure. I don't know if anybody knows did he break his thumb or one of his fingers? Because if he broke his thumb, that's a crucial part of the grip of the football. Yeah. And so anyway, another.
I'm sorry. The story here says he had a thumb injury, Shane. So I just want to give you that.
Thumb, yeah. All right. So the thumb, that's a big deal when you go to grip. Mississippi State, undefeated, hosts Tennessee, who's has one loss. Boy, this is going to be a track meet, I believe. Same exact offenses going against one another.
Yeah, and State's 4-0. First time since 2014. Blake Chafin is playing real well. Fluff Bothwell, one of the greatest names we've ever heard in the SEC, is a transfer running back. He's 5'10", 230, ran for 100 yards last week. Joey Aguilar, I'm curious what you think of him, Shane. So far, he has done really well, has he not? 78 of 117, 1,100 yards, almost 70% of completions. Chris Braswell of Tennessee leads the league with 6 touchdown catches. Now, look, Tennessee is probably the better team, but the reality is with the game being at Mississippi State, this thing could be a lot of fun, at least for a while.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a heck of a game. Let's move down to the ACC, Brent. You talked about Clemson. I mean, I can't remember the last time they were 1-3.
Really?
Dabo's been chirping a little bit at the media and the fans. What do you think happens? They're not going to get rid of Dabo Swinney, are they?
No. He's got like they would have to pay him like $60 million if they did. I mean, he averages $11.5 million per year. He's got a new deal anyway. So no, I don't think that's going to happen. But they certainly aren't playing well. Somebody wrote, Shane, they've had more lightning delays too than wins, which is one. So yeah, the buyout is $60 million. Now look, you can you can negotiate that down, but look, with the success that he's had, sometimes you're going to have a bad year. And look, the problem here is they've struggled at quarterback, and where they've also struggled, I mean, they've nearly got a NFL type defensive line, and that's not working either. So they are trying to find themselves desperately. So it's the roughest start for Clemson in a long, long time.
Georgia Tech, Brent, they're undefeated, and I looked at their schedule the other day. They literally may be undefeated when they play the Georgia Bulldogs that last game of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a lot of football left, but when you look at their schedule and how they play, you're just like, they could easily be undefeated. And Brent Key's done a phenomenal job there. The semis have to play at Virginia, and then they got Miami at home next week.
Yeah,
that's kind of an interesting scheduling deal there, because Miami, I believe, is off this week.
Yeah, they've and the Virginia game is Friday night, so they'll have an extra day. Now FSU, and again, they're number one in scoring offense, 58 points a game, number one in total offense. Now Virginia is not bad; they're number 4 in total offense, number 11 in scoring, 45 yards a game. Tony Elliott's done a pretty good job there. They've got a quarterback named Chandler Morris. I'm not sure they can beat FSU, but Castellano said the quarterback for FSU had a injury scare against Kent State, but they think he's going to be okay overall. So, but look, Virginia's good enough where they can stay in this game for a while and make it interesting.
Yeah, that will be, we'll see about that. Marie says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, what about Bobby Petrino as head coach? After watching the Lane documentary, I don't think he will come to Florida. Look, Lane's changed a lot in his life, but still I've said this, and I will go to my grave saying this. Brent, you've been around a lot of coaches.
Yes.
They all want to win at a high level, right?
They do. Yes.
And when you're an elite coach and you have a chance to go to a different brand, now it's either you stay at Ole Miss and live in a great little college town like Oxford with zero pressure and 8, 9, maybe 10 wins, people keep patting you on the back, or do you want to go to a different bigger brand and try to win it all? That's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion. Yeah,
I agree with that. And look, Lane's a challenge guy. After a few years, he wants a challenge. I think he'd be great at Florida. I really do. And look, Lane, and we'll get into this later, but Lane has matured a lot. Lane is not the same guy that he was even 5 years ago. There have been a lot that's happened with him that have been good. I mean, his father died recently. That changes anybody. But if you get a chance to, I think things have changed for Lane, and if that works out, I think that'd be great for Florida or wherever he goes.
Yeah. Real quick, a couple of texts here. This is a text from, I don't know who it's from. It says 24/7 Sports in Oxford reported this week that 2 private planes from Gainesville landed at Oxford University Airport. Has Brent heard anything about that?
I mean, I've kind of seen the same thing, but again, I'm sure no one from Florida is going to admit they were involved in anything like that. But look, the main thing is, I'm sure there's probably some third party stuff going on behind the scenes. We don't know that for sure, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Shane.
And what I would say when it comes to these coaching searches and stuff, look, usually it's between the ADs and the agents of multiple coaches,
yes.
right?
Yes.
The actual coach that school is interested in is still worried about winning a football game on Saturday.
No question.
They're not worried about what's going to happen at the end of the year. They're letting their agent handle all that. So that's why I don't believe any of those reports when they go to a college campus. Now, if you're flying to Memphis, Tennessee, I think that's where Jimmy Sexton's out of.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it is.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I wouldn't put a whole lot in that. And it's probably rumors. Who knows?
Sure.
Anyway, and then the last text we'll get out of here is I can't find it now, but somebody was talking about Kirk Cignetti, at his age, but Gruden's only 2 years younger than him. Why? Here's what I will say. I don't think John Gruden has a chance to be the Florida Gators coach. Zero, in my opinion. So we'll leave it at that. Brent, great stuff as always. Have a great weekend watching ball, and we will talk to you next week.
We'll do it, Shane. Thanks so much, bud. Take care.
Yep, that's Brent Beaird, college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. Join us on the Titan Them All Hotline. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com and Main Street Daily News. Talk about high school sports. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Naysayers, setbacks, injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Linderos Tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
No, Los Linderos Tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Linderos Tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Linderos.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office, a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Back to the Titan Them All Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com and Main Street Daily News here, talking a little Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. Good morning, Mike. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Shane. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Real quick, Mike, let's jump into a little volleyball. I want to say volleyball should be winding down or getting close to winding down right now, right?
It is. Some teams may only have, a handful, 5, 6, 7 games maybe left in the regular season, and then we jump into district play, I think that second week of October. So, yeah, it's winding down right now. In our coverage area, Main Street, the highest ranked area team is Santa Fe. They're ranked 5th in the state in Class 4A, and Eric Marshall does a great job with that program. He was able to win a couple of state championships, won back-to-back state titles in 2021 and 2022. They've played a really tough schedule too. They've got 7 losses, but when you look at their schedule and you see teams like Calvary Christian, obviously the Rock, in the Gainesville area is not an FHSAA school. They played Bishop Kenny out of Jacksonville, Providence out of Jacksonville, Winter Haven. I think they've got the best chance to make the deepest run. Outside of Santa Fe, the next highest ranked area team is Buchholz, which is ranked 10th in the state in 6A, and they've got a pretty young team. They actually took a game from Santa Fe at home, and then Santa Fe won the next 3. But Buchholz also finally beat Gainesville High School. They snapped a long losing streak to their rival. Big win for Buchholz against GHS. They'll still have to go to the Purple Palace and play the Hurricanes at the Purple Palace. But Buchholz is a team to keep your eye on. GHS, I think, will be in the mix as well. Probably the more interesting thing when it comes to volleyball, and then I know we can move on to football, but if you look at Rural District 6, I think it's one of the toughest, if not the toughest districts in the state of Florida. When you factor in the teams that, you got Brantford that played in the state championship game last year. You've got Lafayette, which is having a really good season this year. Those 2 teams are ranked top 4 in the state in that classification. Then Union County over in Lake Butler, they're ranked 7th, and they're actually going to be hosting the district semifinals in the district championship game. And then Dixie County, they've had some injuries. I think that if they can get some players healthy, they've got a chance to kind of get back in that race. And then Bell's certainly capable of beating teams. So that's 4 or 5 teams right there. A super competitive district, but you're talking about 3 of the top 10 teams in the state in that Rural District 6.
Yeah, so good stuff. Real quick before we jump into high school, I got a Rick from Jupiter on the Titanamar text line. Says he noticed no NFL names get mentioned when speaking of coaching candidates. Any coaches in the NFL you think would be a valid candidate? I don't think any NFL coach has any plans to go back to college football with no rules. There's no way in hell I would do that. All right, high school football. Let's start with the smaller classifications. Who's having a good year? Who could make a run in the playoffs?
Well, at the smallest classification, here's the thing I don't get, Shane. Okay, so you've got different rankings, obviously. One ranking that I like to refer to is this USA Today Florida network poll, because you've got voters from around the state that vote in this thing. And no surprise, they've got Hawthorne ranked number 1. Hawthorne's been to 5 straight state championship games. Madison County is ranked number 2. They're the defending state champions. But in the first FHSAA rankings that came out this past Tuesday, those teams are actually rated pretty low. Hawthorne, I had to email the FHSA to ask this question, Shane. Hawthorne is ranked 9th right now in the rural classification. Makes no sense to me. They've got their strength of schedule at a minus 0.93, which also doesn't make sense to me. I broadcast their game at Oakley, which is a bigger school. They played them tough. And again, Hawthorne does have a young team, but I think they've got a chance to make a run in their classification. They beat Florida High out of Tallahassee, which traditionally is pretty good. The problem is their games against Discovery and even Newberry, which is down this year, kind of hurt them a little bit. So Hawthorne is 9th in that rural classification. Madison County is actually ranked 12th. But I could see a scenario with both those teams playing each other again for the state championship. Now, Taylor County out of Perry, they did drop in classification. So they're in that rural classification. They're currently ranked 2nd. Chiefland, starting to come on a little bit. They're 4-1 this year. Trenton, I think they're the biggest surprise in the area. Now, they have to go to Chiefland this week, but Trenton is undefeated right now under their first-year head coach, Brian Fry. Williston, 3-1. And by the way, let me give a quick shout out to Robbie Pruitt, the head coach at Williston High School. Shannon, I don't know if you know this or not, but he's got a chance to become the first high school football coach in the country to do something that no one has ever done. He has 209 wins in Georgia. He's currently sitting at 199 in Florida. And according to, I spoke to Buddy Collins first at the Orlando Sentinel, and then he referred me to Kevin Asplin of Max Preps. Pruitt is the 49th coach with over 400 wins, but he would become the first coach in America to win 200 games in 2 different states. Of those 49 coaches, only 9 coached in 2 different states, and of those 9, only 2 coached for more than 10 years in 2 different states. The next closest guy is Tommy Knotts of Dutchport, South Carolina, and Independence, North Carolina. He won over 300 in North Carolina, and he's getting close to 200. He's got 181 at his current school in South Carolina. But Robbie Pruitt will go to Trinity Catholic on Friday in Ocala with a chance to win his 200th game in the state of Florida, which again would put him in a league of his own. The irony in that is that last year when Williston beat Trinity Catholic, it was his 400th win overall, and now he's got a chance to get another a nice win and be in some pretty elite company.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors he'll be back at Union County next year, so we'll see. Speaking of Union County, before we go, this how crazy, not just college football crazy, high school football is crazy. Their star running back, I guess they're having a rough year because they lost their coach, has now transferred in mid-season to Columbia there in Lake City. Has to sit out, I think, 1 week, and then he'll be eligible to play. That's how crazy high school athletics are now.
Yeah, that's Drew Simmons, and he's their best running back. And, he actually transferred over the summer, I think, for less than a week and then went back. Lamar Waters was named the interim coach and the AD. But, I'm not sure if Union County is going to win another game this year, and I'm hearing there might be some more guys that could transfer. So could be a long year for the Tigers. They've got just 1 win this year.
Buchholz having a good year as usual. Probably not as potent on offense as they've been. Pretty stout on defense, right?
Yeah, they are. Now, offense is not too bad. Last week they scored 21 points and a half against a previously unbeaten Richmond Hill team out of Georgia. They went on the road to Bradenton and put up 30 points, 29 against Eastside. Their only loss this year is to the number 1 team in Class 7A, Vero Beach. That was 28-24 in a game that was decided in the last 30 seconds of the game after Buchholz had kicked a field goal with 1.5 minutes to play. I think for them, though, Shane, and I wrote about this at the beginning of the year, I really thought the X factor for them, because they've got University of Florida commit Justin Williams. The problem is everybody's double, triple teaming him. He's a marked man every game. He finished second in the Florida Dairy Farmers 6A Player of the Year voting last year, and rightfully so, with over 1,000 yards rushing and receiving. But my X factor coming into this year was Kiel McGriff. Kiel had transferred a couple of years ago from Newberry High School as a quarterback, but he's also was going to be playing wide receiver. Buchholz is a sophomore at quarterback, Coach Whittemore's son. So there was a chance for him to maybe step in if Whittemore struggled a little bit. But, that's another weapon on the field, not only from the receiving standpoint, but a guy that can return punts. In fact, last year, he actually finished third on the team. He had 44 catches, 737 yards, 6 touchdowns. But unfortunately, I've got the news yesterday, Shane, he hasn't played this year, and he's going to have season-ending surgery. So Kiel McGriff will not play. And that's really kind of forced Coach Whittemore to kind of, tweak some things, because a couple of weeks ago against Eastside, Chris Johnson, is their best running back. He almost went over 200 yards rushing, 199. However, last week against Richmond Hill of Georgia, they actually put him in at wide receiver, just trying to get some more playmakers there. They had Justin Williams kind of carrying the ball, averaged, almost 12 yards a carry, 58 yards. Again, that was only a half of action. It was called because of lightning, but Buchholz did get credit with a win. So that's a big loss for the Buchholz football team. They've got their district opener, and it's a tough one against Nice. I'll be on the call for this game on Friday night, 7 o'clock game, 6:30 pregame on 106.9 FM in Gainesville. But they've got a Nice team coming in that's just lost their first game of the year to St. Augustine, which is the number 1 team in 4A, a close 28-24 loss. But they've put up a bunch of points this year. They've got a really good offense. So it definitely will be a big challenge for Buchholz on Friday night.
Yeah. Mike, good stuff as always. Time goes by way too fast. Let everybody know how they can read your stuff at Main Street Daily News, the Prep Zone, how they can listen to the calls live.
Yeah, one thing that we'll have at the Prep Zone later this afternoon is our new regional rankings. We rank the top 20 high school football teams across 26 counties. St. Augustine's number 1, Rains out of Jacksonville number 2, Bowles out of Jacksonville number 3, Buell's is 4th, Nice is 5th. So you can find that later today at theprepzone.com. But the good thing about Main Street Daily News, we do not have a paywall, so you can read all of our great articles. I wrote an article on the city swim meet on Monday, covered a high school volleyball game on Tuesday, Dixie County East Side. I'll have a recap of Buell to Nice on Friday night. And again, you can find all that stuff at mainstreetdailynews.com.
Mike, appreciate your time. Have a good week and a good call Friday night, and we appreciate your time.
All right, same Shane. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Yeah, that's Mike Ridaught. Does a tremendous job covering the high school athletic programs in the North Central Florida area. We appreciate him joining the program. Gallo Car Wash, locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. I forgot to get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. We're a proud member of the Spurrier Banks. 2022 President's Cup at Quail Hollow there in Charlotte. The U.S. has a convincing win over the international team. It was the 9th consecutive American victory. Speaking of that, the Ryder Cup ranks up tomorrow. So should be a lot of fun, a lot of stuff to watch this week. Tomorrow we'll have JC. We'll get his Peachland Dental picks. We'll also have Mike Morgan to wrap up the week. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.